Is California a good place to homeschool? Do they have tons of rules and regulations? I bet it's horrible to homeschool in California. These are things I've been hearing bits and bobs about a lot lately. And so today I'm telling you 8 reasons that California is a great state to homeschool in. I'm Jacqueline. This is homeschoolhangout.xyz, where I, a veteran homeschooler of 17 years, share my experience, my tips, my tricks to help you homeschool with peace and calmness. If you like these kinds of videos, do me a favor, thumbs up, like, subscribe, all the things. And let's get into why I think California is a great state to homeschool in. First of all, you don't need to be approved. There's no application process. There's no evaluation process. And I say this because, now these are all rumors. I've only homeschooled in California. I hear in Maryland they can come in, evaluate how you teach, and decide whether or not you're good enough to homeschool. And the amount of people who ask about getting approved makes me think that this is an issue in other states too. California, you just put in your PSA, your private school affidavit, and that's it. They don't approve nor deny. So you're not actually getting a state seal of approval, but they're not going to tell you you can't. 2, you are a legal private school. Yes, your children are in an actual legal private school. And that comes with certain benefits of what school do your kids attend, how you get work permits, how you take standardized tests. A lot of things come with that benefit of being in a private school, including the fact that if you are going to graduate your child from your homeschool, you have a diploma like everyone else does. If anybody respects a private school as far as employment or college applications or the military, you don't have to prove to them per se that they were really educated, that they have to necessarily look at a portfolio, that they have to do things like that. You just issue a transcript and a diploma like any other school. So that legal protection is really, really nice. For example, I've heard in some other states like Texas, and I've heard of a couple others, you don't basically have to tell the government anything, but it does mean that when your children go and apply for college, they ask what curriculum you use, or they ask what, portfolios, kind of proving the education. In California, you don't have to do that unless you're looking for like special scholarships and things along that line. But for just standard run of the mill, you need a high school diploma, you need a transcript. We are legally a private school, and that is great. That is great in so many ways. Also, when people are having programs, including everything from the library's reading programs to Barnes & Noble's book programs, and they need a list of a school, they automatically go, okay, you're a private school in California. They don't ask, are you actually in a school where you have to go show a co-op or show anything like that? You're good. I love that. There is no testing needed or official evaluation. And what do I mean by that? California is known for their schools having a lot of standardized testing, and homeschoolers don't have to do any of it. I've heard in other states at the end of the year, you have to be evaluated professionally to make sure they're hitting academic goals. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm all for hitting academic goals. I'm not saying this is great because I think that children don't need to be taught anything. I'm saying this is great because what if you've got a kid who's really behind in one subject? Or what if you get an evaluator who just doesn't like you? Do you have to put your kid back in public school? I believe I heard it was Florida that you have to be evaluated at the end of the year. And I know there's a variety of states in which you have to take certain standardized testings either every year or every so many. California, none of those are requirements at all. And I find that freeing because you don't have to teach to the test, and you don't have to aim specifically at solving math problems the way they may want you to solve math problems, or you can teach, and I say this because I remember my siblings, I have 4 younger siblings, and there were different ways of teaching reading with all of them just about. And so if you had to take a standardized test, if you didn't know the zoophonics or you didn't know this type of thing, you may not have done well. So I love that. What and how you teach is completely up to you in the state of California. Now, you do have a list of main subjects you have to hit. There's an elementary set, and then there's a high school and junior high set. But it's basically like you have to do English, you have to do math, you have to do social studies, you have to do PE, those types of things. And it's laid out very well. I have other videos where I talk about that. But how you do that and how much you do that is up to you. Why is this so good? Am I saying that, you don't really need to teach English? No. But I personally don't like splitting out all my subjects. We did Story of the World, and that is considered a history curriculum. Well, in that, it had literature books, history books, map work, arts and crafts, all of those things that I didn't want to have to do a specific arts and crafts project that was separate from making our Delta Nile in a tin pan to show the flooding effects of the riverbeds. I didn't want to have to do all those things separately, and in California, you don't have to. Also, you don't have to do 30 minutes of math and 30 minutes of English. How you break that up, what days you break that up on are up to you. Where this gets really great in high school is if you want to be doing a lot of business education, over, a compacted time. Think about like summer school type period. Because maybe you're doing a business project, or there's something like Lego robotics where they have to come up with business plans. You don't have to spread that out evenly over the year in order to be able to put it on their transcripts. So you're given that freedom to educate them in the manner using the books that you feel are appropriate. You don't have to buy official curriculums, anything along those lines. Now, you can always read the state standards online for free for the state of California. And that is helpful. I'm going to be honest. I feel like we usually exceeded them, but you don't have to measure it out. And that causes a lot of people stress. I've heard from people who do even charter schools in the state of California. The fact that they have to do all the subjects separately sometimes is really annoying. So I love that about homeschooling in California. There is no hour and day requirements. I love this. I love this so much. And the reason I do is, yes, in the state of California, if you are in any form of public school, they get paid by the amount of hours your children have what's called seat time. That was one of the reasons that over COVID, if you were doing Zoom school, you had to sit in front of your camera even if you were doing regular homework in some districts, because they needed a way to quantify how much time you were doing. California, no. The code reads that you need to educate them completely in a subject. But how long that takes is up to you. And I say this because homeschoolers can run the entire gamut. I remember the Well-Trained Mind reading that, and they were like, I think it was in first grade. By the end of first grade, kids could be doing 40 minutes of math a day. Not in my household. Not in my household. If they were doing 20, that would be a lot, and they were doing it like 3 times a week. Now, for myself, math is our subject, and I say that meaning my children all finished 2 semesters of college calculus in high school. And so that's my children. Now, if they needed more time, we would have invested more time. And as they got up into high school, they definitely did more time. But you don't have to measure that. Also, you don't have to count your days you homeschool. Yes, legally, you do need to count your attendance, but you don't necessarily have to keep a certain amount of days. It's been buzzing around the homeschool community that you have to do 180 days. And I haven't seen that in the education code. And if you have, please send it to me. But that is what the public schools have to do. Now, I'll be very honest. We homeschool technically a lot more than 180 days. Why? My children are always here. They're always learning. They're always reading. They're always doing something. So that's not hard. You just don't need to be fastidious about it. In other states, they have to have so many hours of each subject, so many hours of education, which means it's like, how do you count the park? What category do you put it in? How much time can be considered school? All of those types of things. And we don't have to do any of that here. So we take attendance, but that just means it's a day. Could be a half hour, could be 5 hours. It also is great because we can do no school there for weeks in December. But when it's 110 outside, we can do some homework. We can do some school. And right now, my 16-year-old, we're looking at what her college summer school class is going to be. And so you can spread those around however you want. Whereas public school, it doesn't always work that way. If the weather's really nice, it doesn't matter. Whereas if the weather's really nice and we want to go to the farmer's market or we want to go take a walk, one, I guess technically you can count that as school, it's PE, but two, it doesn't matter. And it not mattering takes a lot of stress off of everyone. There's no daytime curfews. Now, I don't know when that happened. I don't know what states have daytime curfews, but people are often concerned about it. And what do I mean by that? I mean, your kids can't be out before and go to the grocery store with you before 2 o'clock in the afternoon, because that's when kids are supposed to be in school. There is none of that here in California. Yes, you might get questions every once in a while about like, oh, is your kid sick? Especially when they were little. I got that quite a bit of like, we're very allergy prone in our house of like, I can't believe you kept your kid home from school and brought them grocery shopping. And it's like, no. But other than an occasional judgy person, there is no daytime requirements. So if you want to spend all day shopping or going to a park, that's fine. You just have to account for what it takes to educate your children based on your judgment. I do have a list over here. I have to just bang the gong again. Your diploma is a private school's diploma. This is very important because my kids don't say that they're homeschooled anywhere when they apply for colleges or scholarships for that matter. My diploma is a private school's diploma. Their transcripts are private school's transcripts. So when they apply for these things, when they apply for jobs, when my eldest son went to the military, we just submitted it. Now, I will be honest, the military did go over it to make sure that we wrote the transcripts. It was a 5-minute phone conversation, but that was it. I do advise that when your kids are applying for jobs at 16 or looking at jobs after high school, you don't lead with, well, I was homeschooled. It's, well, I went to a private school. Or this was the school I went to, where you don't say I went to a private school, you just said this is the school I went to. And if there's further questions, always be honest. But when you start with, oh, well, I was homeschooled, they're like, oh, was that a real school? That's a question I've gotten. Was that a real school? And you just need to say, it's a private school in the state of California. I file with the state. And that's the end of the conversation often. Now, a caveat here. If you are dealing with an employer or someone who says, we need an accredited high school, that doesn't mean public school. That means, yes, there are some private schools that are accredited. I can't remember if it's San Joaquin Memorial here in town. It's WASC accredited, which means they teach the approved curriculums and all that. That is often not an issue. I've never had it had personally. But that isn't because you're homeschooled. That's just a requirement they have of private schools. So if there's like a specific employer you just have to work for when you get older as a child, or your kid really wants to go to a certain university, you just contact that university and see what they want and fall in with that. Okay. One of the things that I get asked a lot, and I don't know what the deal is in other states, but this is a big difference between public schooling in California. According to the Department of Education's private school department in California, you don't have any vaccination requirements. I've recently checked this again with the private school department, and they go, no, as a homeschool, you don't have any requirements. Now, I will be honest. If you're going to a traditional private school where people all go to campus and there is a gathering of children, there are vaccination requirements. This is specifically because you are a home school. And so for many people, that is a big plus. For me, I'll be honest, we vaccinate, but I don't have to fill out the form. I don't have to do anything like that. We do keep a shot record because when they go to college, they do ask about certain vaccinations. But beyond that, I'll be honest, I'm just too lazy to really care about filing any forms. I don't need them. But yes, those are some of the many reasons I love homeschooling in California. And if you're coming from another state and you have any concerns, let me know down on the bottom. If you've homeschooled in another state, I'd love to hear details about what they require. But if you have any other questions, concerns, just random quandaries about homeschooling in California, do me a favor, put in the comments or message me on one of my various social medias. If this video has helped you at all, do me a favor, thumbs up, like, comment, subscribe, find me out there on social media, or buy me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/homeschoolhangout XYZ. And I will talk to you beautiful people later. Bye.